camera because she's smiling for a change. Good afternoon from San Francisco, Studio B at the Beach Street Yacht Club. I've got the hockey game up here on the tube. I'm watching the Americans and the Slovakians in the semifinals of the Olympics. I'm your host, Tom Eamon. Of course, we mentioned Julia a moment ago. Welcome to our show number 911. Yes, Larry Kennedy, it's 2-0 at the end of the second. Great game, come behind win by Canada. We'll talk about all that. Chris Fury's in Melbourne, Greg Phillips on the Gold Coast. Who else is on here? Fritz Mueller in Miami. Welcome to all of you. Thanks for joining us today for our regular Friday show. Peter Stevenson was the first one on by far.
Way far.
I'm here ready and waiting to listen in the background. Superb day, he says, in Sydney today. Welcome. As I said, everybody, let's get to the starting line straight away. Happy Friday, and happy what Julia thought we were celebrating on Tuesday day.
That was Mardi Gras.
You think? You think? Follow up from 2020. We've been covering this for 6 years when Andrew, formerly known as Prince, was replaced as the Royal Thames Yacht Club Commodore. We'll have some more on that, of course. Bravo Zulu to the Finn Gold Cup, final day upset to all the sailors, to the Royal Queensland. Or did a change in the conditions shake up the results? That was something we talked about on Tuesday, and it came true. Coaching corner, John Emmett. He has moved from Nadia the elephant, Julia. He's now with the stand-up bass player. You remember a stand-up bass player that we've seen before at someone's home?
Oh, yes.
Well, that's where he is now. We'll see if anybody else can guess. LGP, the latest on the aftermath of that scary NZL-FRA crash. Neither team's going to be participating in Sydney next weekend.
Neither.
America's Cup, more threatened legal action, not just John Sweeney, but now in Naples itself. We'll give you the latest on that.
Ooh.
And we'll celebrate the RORC's Nelson's Cup. It wrapped up. Bravo Zulu to Leopard 3. And as Andrew McIrvin told us, Mr. Doctor, he says that there were 2 women on the podium and that was a fabulous way to end the Nelson's Cup, part of that series down there in Antigua. Last leg, Bravo Zulu to the RORC. Magnus the Magnificent, Magnus Wheatley, calls that club peerless and the busiest on the planet. We'll see what you all think of that. This day in history, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, Julia.
Yay!
And, of course, our fabulous Posey. Are those your blue blocker glasses?
No.
Okay. I got to see what my lighting is doing because it's, am I getting reflection in your glasses? I hope not. If I am, I apologize. Blame it on me, not on Julia, okay?
I'm easy, though. I'm always doing something
Blame
wrong.
it on me, not on Julia. You're never doing anything wrong. Speaking of Andrew doing something wrong.
Oh, poor thing.
This is an article from October of 2020. We've been covering it since then, when he was quietly removed as the Royal Thames Commodore. He was the patron of honor, which in their parlance is Commodore. Their leading volunteer non-royal officer is the Vice Commodore. And I've known Andrew, not well, but I've known him since the 1984 Olympics when I hosted him around as part of the late, great Adra Kober's PR team.
Yeah.
And what was that called? Not diplomatic team. There was some term for that when you hosted VIPs around the yachting venue. And he's been to the America's Cup. Has been on and off a keen sailor, but the Thames acted even before the Queen did and removed him from being Commodore of Britain's most famous yacht club over his links, of course, to Jeffrey Epstein, and he was replaced by the Duchess of Cambridge, not by Prince Anne, because Princess Anne is the patron of the Royal Yachting Association of the RYA. So Princess Kate became quietly the Commodore of the Royal Thames, and this is again from 2020. Now, notice the name of this boat. There he is sailing That's a flying 15
Mm.
at Cows. I don't know the year of that photo. He's quite young looking then.
Yes.
And his dad, of course, sailed flying 15s famously. And Spanish Lady is the name of his boat, Julia.
I know.
What do you think of that?
Who named the boat?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably not him. But
Yeah.
in 2022, when this was, he did that disastrous BBC interview, and I don't know if he'd done it by then in 2022, but which royal patronages has Prince Andrew lost? According to Royal Central, that was the big discussion then, as announced by Buckingham Palace in 2022. The Duke of York has given back his military appointments and patronages to the Queen. While he had already stepped down as patron from several orgs due to his ongoing legal issues, he has now renounced all. So that was 2 years after the Royal Thames had a little meeting and quietly excused him from further participation. Well, then, according to the same Royal Central, many of Andrew's former patronages are connected to sports, in particular golf, that Andrew's love of golf is well known. It's unsurprising that almost a quarter of his patronages were related to golf. He was the patron of 24 different golf clubs, societies, and associations, including the yada, yada, yada. In addition to golf, he held several patronages with yachting and sailing organizations. He was the patron of the Royal Victoria up in Canada, and the Maple Bay Yacht Club also in BC, as well as the Royal Thames and the Port of Dartmouth Royal Regatta. So the memes, Julia, have been flowing.
Yes.
The memes have been flowing.
I saw that. Oh, yes.
The commemorative coin, Andrew, formerly known as Prince.
Oh, poor thing.
That came from a super Fozy. I won't say who, but it was one of our Brits are more troubled by this, I think, than we are. I went to a meeting at St. Francis last night, and our good friend, Lucy, I won't use her last name, but who's a Brit.
Yeah.
She knew all about this, wanted to know what I thought, knew we would cover it today, and what are you going to say on the show, and yada yada yada. I said, look, I think you Brits are a lot more fussed about this than we are. It's sad. The guy, the reason he got the flick, of course, and the reason he got arrested wasn't because of, it wasn't largely because of the stuff he was doing allegedly with young girls. It's because he was a trade delegate for the UK, a trade representative for 10 years from 01 to 11, something like that.
Yeah.
And he was allegedly giving away some of the British trade secrets or information in return for certain, shall we say, favors. Julia. This came in from a super Fozy this morning. Missed calls, the king says. 66 on his phone. Missed calls from Andrew. And he got a text from Andrew. Please pick up. The coppers are here. I'm afraid they do. Do they have royal cells? And of course, that didn't come from a Brit per se. It came from Hamish Ross down in New Zealand. And Julia, that sparked a long list of comments.
Yes.
Some very clever, some not so clever. But I think the one that was the most clever came from a Facebook friend, Dalton Duncan, who said they could always put him up in the tower. It might boost tourism too. Oh, the poor guy. But,
I know.
He's brought it on himself. What a crouton. And he's a sailor. Sailors aren't supposed to act like this, right, Julia?
No. But they do.
They do indeed. How's the hockey game going? Larry Kennedy, let me know if the score changes, and then I'll go look at it. I've got it up here in this little box in the multi-view, and I can see it's still 2-0, but I got to look at that other stuff too during the show so we don't fall off the air. Julia, what are we celebrating today?
Well, it looks like Mardi Gras.
Well, close. It's Carnival of Brazil. Samba music, vibrant costumes, and nonstop dancing. This annual festival in Rio. We talked about this last year.
Yeah.
Is the ultimate party experience you won't forget. The Brazilian Carnival has a history dating back to the 18th century when the celebration was primarily a religious event. It was originally held as a way for the people to indulge in food and drink before the start of Lent, a period of fasting and repentance, as you all know. Over time, the Carnival evolved to include more secular elements such as music, dance, elaborate costumes, and Julia, shall we say, and more in Rio, in Ipanema.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. The boys and girls of Brazil, Julia. During the 19th century, the Carnival became more of a public spectacle with organized parades and competition. It quickly became a major event in Brazilian culture. In the early 20th, carnival music, known as samba, began to develop and gain popularity. Today, samba is considered the quintessential carnival music and is an integral part of the celebrations. In the 30s, the government of Rio began to invest in the carnival, and it became an official event. Today, it's considered the biggest party in the world, attracting millions of people from around the globe, Julia. You must have been at some
I
point.
have, but most of the people we know well in Rio leave town.
Yes, well, it's like Las Fallas in Valencia, or when you have the Olympics in LA, people leave, right?
Yeah.
And Julia, you'd think poorly of me if
They didn't have the music.
a video.
An explosion of
Yeah, it
colour,
is
music
spectacular,
and
no question about
talent.
it.
For the past 3 evenings, the top samba schools have been performing for Rio Carnival's ultimate prize. And the competition has been fierce.
It's very exciting. We rehearse a lot all year, and today is the big day, so we get emotional. The anticipation is huge. We want everything to go right.
One performance stood out among the rest. Via de Aurora Samba School has been crowned champions for a 4th time. 12 schools took part in the hotly contested special group competition in the city's iconic Sambadrome and were judged on their costumes, floats, harmony and percussion. From paying tribute to Brazilian artists to exploring the arrival of African traditions in the country, the themes were wide-ranging. But all competitors have one thing in common: their love for carnival.
Carnival is my passion. It's where I can heal all my wounds, my sadness. I love Carnival. It will always be a part of my life.
The Samba parade may now be over, but the world's biggest party continues. Revellers will be lining the streets of Rio until winners via Douro perform in the Champions Parade to close out Carnival on the 21st of February.
Okay, so that's what's been going on this week, the last few days, and the big finale is tomorrow night. It's the 21st, and it carries on. I mean, you've been there, you know. I've not been for Carnival there. I've been to Mardi Gras, but this is something special. And all of you who have been or are thinking about going, you better get down there right now. Banner was saying no spoilers on the men's hockey, please. Well, sorry, if you're going to watch it tonight, Rick, you're going to find out who won because we're going to celebrate it here. You better turn off the show. Hello from Wanji. Jody Shields is saying, Gordon Smith, are we going to show entries in the Name the Pub Did you see all those, Julia?
No.
The Name the Pub competition that, there's that Prince Andrew pub.
Right.
And there were, in the Super Fuzzy thread this morning when I woke up, there were 19 submissions for what the name of that pub should
Oh, how did I miss that?
to.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. Kitson's down in Florida in the Panhandle. Hello, Jeff. Alan Long, better than Lady Ghislaine. Andrew McIrvin is in Antigua. He's down there, DBA, the chairman of the IRC committee. He's back, I believe he's also back as the Secretary General, maybe never left, Secretary General of the IMA.
Yeah.
Jody Shields made a joke that I will not, if I read his joke, then he's talking about golf. He says, I hope he gets, I'll read it. Julia, get ready for a finger wag.
All right.
Hope he gets a hole-in-one while in jail. Jody!
Oh. Awful.
Andrew Pindar saying, could you explain why you're not here at RORC? Well, he is there. I guess he's just not there at whatever's going on. Lots of comments.
Yes.
Lots of comments. It's nice. We get so many comments. There's J. Frederick Bland confirming the 2-0 score. You're going to keep us posted. And I have been sitting here, Julia, watching this hockey and watching the Winter Olympics. I love the Winter Olympics. I like the Olympics. We all like the Olympics. We've got to do something to keep our beloved sport, not only in the Olympics, but to get it ramped up.
Yep.
I've been thinking a lot about that over the last few days. I got some things I want to run past you.
Oh, good.
So we'll get to that. One here's the pub is the Fiddler's Arms. Dolly DeVola in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there were a bunch of names, and we're not going to go through all those now. But Tom, now Husted. Mark, don't force me. I'll come back. I'm going to come back to Mark Husted in a minute because he's been texting me since dark 30, actually yesterday, about hockey. He's in Sweden, an Aussie living in Sweden. But let's get on with yacht racing. Bravo Zulu. We have a couple Bravo Zulus today, but starting with the Finn class, the Finn Gold Cup that we have been covering now. The Gold Cup down at the Royal Queensland, the 12th through the 19th in Brisbane. It's been a hell of an event. Started out breezy, and then it did, in fact, lighten up because, as we told you on Tuesday, the Anders Peterson from Norway was leading, and he was leading
Everything.
Comfortably, right?
Yeah.
Doing very, very well indeed. And that's where we left it on Tuesday's show. But then as we talked about the conditions lightening, indeed that getting lighter, not lightning as in thunder lightning, but Anders Peterson's lead has been reduced. This was as of yesterday, Wednesday night, reduced to just 1 point with yesterday, Thursday left to sail after 2 races were completed on Wednesday. A shift to lighter northerlies produced many changes through the fleet. However, the day belonged to Australia's Brendan Casey, who had a 1-2, which was nearly actually a 1-1, while France's Valerian Lebrun picked up a 3-1. Now, that shuffled the standings, so much so that when things were all said and done last night, Alessandro Marega from Italia won.
Wow.
The first Italian to win the Finn Gold Cup. So bravo Zulu to him. It's a fantastic achievement. It's also good for the class to have yet another country to win the Gold Cup. And talking about him, he's won the Porsche Center Brisbane 2026 Finn Gold Cup after an incredible week of world-class sailing at the Royal Queensland Yacht Squadron in Brisbane. In doing so, he becomes the first Italian ever to win the Finn World Championship. Longtime leader, meaning of this event, Anders Peterson from Norway, had to settle for the silver, while an almost perfect performance over the last 2 days from Brendan Casey moved him up to third, and he was the top Australian. More than 70 Finn sailors from 14 nations have been competing for what is the 70th Gold Cup. And the Masters, which starts here in a couple days, has an even bigger fleet. Heading into the final day, it could not have been closer at the top, with Peterson and Marega separated by a single point. This was yesterday. 16 points further back are Nassiter, Brendan Casey, and Rafael Trujillo from Spain. Trujillo, they were only separated by 8 points, so the final day was going to be, as we would say in Michigan, Julia,
a real barn burner.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Heard it coming. Yeah.
Well, there is Brendan Casey, who was ended up third, the top Aussie, and he had some nice things to say about the yacht club and the sailing conditions. Casey, I'm happy to say I finished third. I'm pretty happy about that. I must say Anders and the Italian sailor, they sailed a class series and deserved to get their first and second position. Royal Queensland, the quote continues, is a premier sailing location in Australia. Remember, the Olympics are going to be there in 2032 in Brisbane, except maybe they're going to be up the coast. I guess they're really going to be up, not in Brisbane, but they're going to go up someplace further north.
Yeah.
The weather has been at both ends. We've had the extreme of the southeaster and then the lighter nor'easters over the last couple of days, but I really enjoyed sailing on Moreton Bay. And I would say that there's going to be more regattas to come, not only in the Fin.
Uh-huh.
Oh my goodness, look at those names of those bars. The Sweaty Nunts, the Crown and Wanker. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Morega did it without winning a single race, but he was the bridesmaid, he was second place and so on. But Julia, we
Sure.
even have a nice video courtesy of Robert Deves.
Oh,
and the Fin
good,
class.
Robert Deves.
Yeah, I'm all over. I'm happy with my sailing, except for today. Italian did a very good job taking me out in race 1, and yeah, so kudos to him. He deserved the gold. He's been super consistent. So I've been struggling in the lighter breeze. When the wind was up, I had control, but yeah, not the fully right setup, and probably a lack of training for the lighter stuff. Yeah.
Hi, my name's Brendan Casey, and we've just concluded the Porsche Centre Brisbane Fin Gold Cup for 2026. Happy to say I finished third. I'm pretty happy about that. But I must say, Anders and the Italian sailor, they sailed a class series and deserved to get their first and second position.
We had tough race in all the week with strong wind from the south and then less wind from the north, and I'm happy. We had a good level. Many people done the Olympics and America's Cup, and for me is a point more than make me happy. I'm a world champion. I'm super happy about that. I have no words to describe this moment. I work a lot to arrive at this point. I'm very happy. I'm very happy. Thank you.
I am very happy, thank you.
Such a good class.
And such a good winner. What a good sport, eh?
Yes.
Huh?
Absolutely.
Nice stuff. I'm not so sure about the music, Ted Ryman says. And Blake Sale, Blake Middleton, and Fritz Mueller both asking about Gus Miller, USA 975. Speaking of whom, and that's a nice segue to this shot that I have of Gus. Now, Gus, I've known since 1970 when he was a professor or something at the University of Michigan. He was teaching, and a superb sailor, and he helped coach our national champion Michigan sailing team that Bruce Nelson was our captain, and I learned a lot from Bruce Nelson, who we said on the show. Gus, who's from Rhode Island originally, has been a coach, has been a Pied Piper of not only the Fin class, but for the sailing world for many, many years. And he sailed in this event, but I'm not sure he finished any races. He's 91 years old, Julie. He's five years older than you.
Well, there's hope for all
There's
of
hope
us.
for all of us, isn't there? Gus Miller, and he is a 50-plus. I don't know, to answer your question, I don't know how many years he has been sailing in the Finn. I actually Googled it. I used ChatGPT, and I think the truth is he's been sailing for so long, ChatGPT can't find records of how long he's been doing it.
I think that's probably right.
How many Gold Cups, how many Olympics he's coached, and so on and so forth. But Gus Miller, August Miller, fabulous guy. A lot of you know him, and I think we owe him a big debt of gratitude, plus Bravo Zulu as well.
Mm-hmm.
Dolly DeVola saying a fantastic young Aussie, Hayden Barney, won the Silver Cup, the under-23. So that's great news.
Mm-hmm.
And quite obviously, Chris Fury says the Finns don't need the Olympics.
Amen.
And in fact, I'm not sure any class needs the Olympics. You look at what's the star class, look at the Flying Dutchman class. Some classes would probably go away if they were not in the Olympics, but the strong, good classes not only continue after they're eliminated, but they in some respects prosper.
Yes.
Some respects prosper. So,
Absolutely.
Bravo Zulu Gus. Ted Ryman is saying, yeah, absolutely. And it's, I'm sure he'll be sailing in the Masters, and he keeps himself, Kayard's only 66, but I'm sure that 66 he's a child compared to Gus Miller.
Yeah.
Huh?
Mm.
Oh, man. Why was the Finn dropped by the Olympics? Ed Worley is asking, because it was a boat from the 50s and considered to be, you say it,
old-fashioned.
Old-fashioned. Like, well, Julia's not old-fashioned. I'm old-fashioned, Julia, but you're not. Ed Worley and more. 470 and 49er need the Olympics. Lance Burke here in San Francisco is saying, now something just got waved off. There was a goal on this game. I don't know what happened. I'm going to put that on full screen, Julia.
All right.
So I can watch that out of the corner of my eye.
Yeah.
Huh?
All right.
There, now I got it up there full screen so we can watch it. Because I love hockey, of course, having played it all my life, and we want to see see that? The puck was, I don't know if you can see that. The puck,
Couldn't it?
Okay, watch this replay. It went in, but did it get deflected off somebody's skate? You can deflect it, but you can't kick it. In any event, they've waved the goal off, they've reviewed it.
Oh.
And it's still 2-0 the US of A. It's not your age, but the mileage, Ed Worley is saying. John Sangmeister is blaming our former president and one of our top delegates to World Sailing, Corey Sertle, for the elimination of the Finn. There's some maybe truth in that. She may have shared some of that push, discussion, blame. When I got into the class in 73, Fritz Mueller is saying he was already a top Finster, meaning Gus Miller, in 73, 2 years after I got to know him. Then discovered several years later at a high school reunion that we shared the same alma mater.
Wow.
What a surprise. Blake Sale is watching it too, Blake Middleton. He says, the puck was kicked in, no goal. Yes, under hockey rules, as an old hockey referee, I can assure you that deflecting it with your skate is legal. But propelling it with anything other than your stick, you can't propel it with a skate. You can't bat it with your hand into the goal. It will get waved off by a proper referee. Sitting at
I've learned another thing today.
Well, on Sailing Illustrated, we all learn from each other all
We do.
throughout the show. Sitting in DFW, waiting to fly home to the Davis Island Yacht Club, says Bill Wingrove from Tampa, Florida. Jody Shields says you're only as old as the women you hang around with. This means the former prince must be.
Well, that forgives him.
Is it still 2-0? I can't get distracted by the game. I'm sorry. I'm not being a very responsible host here. The final standings, as we said, Alessandra Marega came from behind to win. Did not win, as several of you have pointed out. Did not
Any race.
win a single race. whereas this guy Peterson won. He won
Wow.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He won 5 races here, but he had 26 that he threw out, and he had to count a 15th. So, that's consistent. That's why I love longer regattas. That's why we love single throw out, if any.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a great way to run yacht racing. And why we've gotten away from that, Julia, is beyond me. Robert McMillan, who is the president of the Finn class, I believe, Robert, if that's correct. Are you the president of the Finn class? We are proud to say that the Finn class has more members now than at any time in its history.
Wow, good.
J. Frederick Bland, who's recovering from his health challenge, has had a lot to do with the Finn class. Russell's brother, Rob Coots, has also been a Finn sailor. And of course, Russell, as you know, Julia, won a gold medal in the Finn class.
I do remember that.
What year? L.A.
84.
19. Well done. Exactly right. Ups, there's a goal. 3-0 now, the USA is leading, according to what I'm hearing here. We're watching it on the big monitor up top. I could tip that camera up a little bit, but I don't want to get a copyright strike from NBC. But there is the goal by one of the Hughes brothers. Okay, enough of that madness. Let's go back to the Finn class.
How far are they into the game?
Middle to end of the second period, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
There are the top 10. Greg Norman is there. Well, he's in Cortina. He's in ski country, but he's there at the Olympics. We told you that he had been down in Naples and then up there. Jody Shields says ice hockey is the best sport in the world. Now, why would an Aussie living in Wanji say that? Did you ever play hockey, Jody? Jody. There's the top 3. Bravo Zulu to them. Anders Peterson there on the left ended up second. Alessandro Marega came from behind, as you know. And the Australian Brendan Casey came up the standings, particularly on the last day, and finished third. And now the U.S. have scored again, and it's 4-0, Julia.
Oh, my goodness.
When it rains, it pours. And do you remember whose marketing claim that was?
The salt.
What salt?
Morton Salt.
Well done, Morton Salt. And where were they from?
Probably Michigan.
They were Detroit, Michigan. Those, Detroit. What's under Detroit, Michigan are huge salt mines. I mean, seriously. Ask Clark Chapin. Ask Joe Holtzman. Huge salt mine. Why are we talking about salt mines and hockey? And Larry Leonard says that Brendan Casey used to coach his son Colin. Well, that's cool. Jody Shields, Julia, finger wag. He says, no, I don't play hockey, but I love a good puck. Come on, Julia, give me.
Enough.
Final coda here. That'll keep Claire happy by using the word coda, since she's a musician of considerable repute. Rafa Trujillo from Spain was inducted into the Finn Hall of Fame. This guy is brilliant. He's a brilliant sailor, long time. He's also a brilliant coach. Mm-hmm. He was inducted into the Finn's Class Hall of Fame during the closing ceremony at the Royal Queensland. He is famous in the Finn class for having won the silver medal in 2004 in Athens. Mm-hmm. 2007, he won the Finn Gold Cup in Cascais in Portugal. After 4 Olympic Games appearances, 3 times in a Finn, he turned to coaching and has been behind the youngest ever winner of the Finn Gold Cup, George Zarif in 2013. Since then, he has become a coach for Australian sailing, most notably coaching Maddie Weirn to Olympic gold in Paris 2024. His other sailing achievements and awards are well-renowned. Bravo Zulu to Rafa for that. We got to give him some wild applause. Yeah. Well-deserved. Terrific guy, and nice to see him in the Finn Hall.
It's a perfect tan to match it.
Say again?
It's a perfect tan to match it.
Okay, what else in the chat here? Morton Salt was in Fairport Harbor, Ohio. They gave tours in grade school to the mine. Our race course was over the top of the mines, but the water was still pretty fresh. Jonathan Shore wishing us happy Friday. Jonathan, the son of Bill Shore and another famous sailor, dear friend. And John Emmett, who I didn't think was going to be on. I thought he was going to be sailing today. He confirms that Rafa is Matt Weirn's coach. Mm-hmm. Speaking of John Emmett, Julia, let's get to the coaching corner with our Super Fozy John Emmett from Great Britain, who is, once again, he's moved from one locale to another.
Mysterious.
We'll see.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy. First of all, we're going to play a game. So for those who didn't watch the last show or don't know where I was last time, let's see if you can guess where I am now. Now, a little bit of background. The last show, I was standing by Nadia the elephant, who, rumour has it, squirts water at uninvited guests. I'm now here with this very attractive fellow. So it'd be interesting if people know where I am. For people who've already guessed where I am, or indeed watching in replay, let's have wrong answers only. But today's topic is the rules. And the reason that we have the rules is very simple. It's to create a level playing field and make things fair. In other words, we really want the best people to win. And actually, it's a way to avoid cheating. Personally, I'm a huge fan of One Design glasses because it stops that checkbook sailing where people can effectively spend more money to buy performance in relation to their rivals. But the rules are really important, whether it comes down to the boat design, building boats, making sure they're built correctly, or actually when we're on the water racing, which I think is a huge amount of fun. And that's something out there for everybody who wants to race, whether you're racing an oppie or a moth, whether you're racing a 10-foot boat or whether you're on, I don't know, 100-foot boat. You know, it's all different types of sailing, and there's something out there for everyone. I mean, actually, these days, there seem an awful lot of boats which are foiling rather than pushing water out the way. But different yacht clubs, different people will want different things. But the rules are really important, and it's been very difficult to sort of break down the racing rules of sailing into bite-sized chunks. But we do need to understand them. Imagine playing a game of chess. You couldn't even sit down at the table unless you knew the rules. And one of the key purposes of the rules is to try and avoid collisions, because that can avoid damage to sailors and equipment, both of which are highly undesirable. So yes, I think rules are a necessary evil, and you have to ask yourself at the start of season or before doing a regatta or even before joining a club or a class, do you really know the rules? And on that note, sail fast, sail safe, have fun, and I think I probably won't join you live because I think I'll be sailing.
Well, he did join us. Ivy's back. He just said on the chat that he just got in. John Emmett Sailing, get to the front of the fleet with Coach Emmett. And we're all pushing hard for, as we say at every show.
Yes.
For over a year now, push for Paralympic sailing into the Paralympics, Brisbane 2032. We won't be there in 2028 in LA, but we're hoping to be there in Brisbane in 2032, either as a demonstration event or, excuse me, or, I think my voice almost cracked. I sound like a teenager. Or, if not as a demo event, better yet still, Julia, as you remind us, as a regular event in the Paralympics.
Yeah.
And we'll see. That's apparently the application is before that committee and the IPC, and we'll see how that goes. Now, by the way, John just put out another one of his. He's doing these reels, putting them on his Facebook and his YouTube and I don't know what else, but also on Sailing Illustrated's Facebook page, and they're really good. And they're shorties. They're 15, 20, maybe 30 seconds. And he put one out yesterday that I tried to grab to stick in here now, but for technical reasons I couldn't get it. And he said, and he's spot on, He said and we talk about this. This is not the first time here, but we talk about how important volunteers are
Yes.
for our beloved sport. And he made the point, when you go, how do you thank the volunteers? They're not going to get paid. They're, by virtue of being a volunteer, by definition, they're not going to get paid. And he said, it's simple. Tell them thank you. Tell them thank you when you get there to the regatta at the opening, at the skipper's meeting, the opening ceremony. Tell them during the regatta when you see them in the club or at the club bar or at the cookout. Tell them after the regatta is over. Thank you very much. It's like what I do here, and I know you do, others do here in San Francisco. When we see a cop or a firefighter, we say, or a military person, we say thank you for your service. And, you know, their face lights up and it makes them feel great. You, as a big volunteer person, and whenever you were head of the National Center for Voluntary Action, did I get that right?
Very good.
Well, you know, even a blind pig finds an acorn or a turnip. So you know more about volunteers. You forgot more about volunteers than most of us know. But
people assume a lot about volunteers, and very little people have ever studied them. And it's one of the things I have done, which I think is interesting.
So the winner chicken dinner was that he is at Alistair's house. Chris Fury, I think, had that first. Several people had that. And I remember that bass, stand-up bass.
Yes.
From that sculpture. I mean, it's a statue, sculpture in Alistair's home in Melbourne. Not out in Meton. So that's good. Very interesting. Greg Normand, who is from Michigan, says that there are 90 miles of salt roads under Detroit. Detroit, Detroit was a French name. By the way, we visit.
Is Detroit from the right?
I don't know. Detroit, I guess it is. I don't know, but that's,
I never thought about that.
The French fur trappers came down the St. Lawrence River and came down from Quebec and so on. And they were the ones that established Detroit. And there was that led to Michigan's big history of fighting between the Indians and the French, and then the Brits, and then finally the Americans came in and cleaned it all up, right? Then it was the Germans who came in.
Really?
Germans came in and cleaned up Michigan on the southeast corner, and the Scandinavians up in the Upper Peninsula. Why are we talking about this? It's Friday. We can talk about anything we want.
That's nice.
So there's, he said, by the way, this is back on Greg Normand. We visited Naples earlier a week ago, and if they can pull off construction for the next AC, I will buy Tom a new car. Wow.
Wow.
That's really nice. I haven't talked to D. Smith, David James. Good question. I mean, I have, but not about this. And we'll talk to D. Maybe we'll get D on the show at the right moment. D, who's a terrific sailor and represented us in the Paralympics in Rio? Maybe more than once. Every presentation, Chris Fury says, whose wife, of course, is the vice, or is she Commodore now, of the Sandringham in the Sandy in Melbourne. Every presentation should be preceded with a thank you to volunteers. Yes, and I think most people they open the prize giving with a thanks to the race committee and
it's
the
a good thing to
jury
remember,
and so on.
though.
But yeah, sadly, that YouTube short got one of the fewest views. Well, John, I'll run it again. I'll run it on the show. Send me, if you would, John, a copy that I know. I had problems getting it off of YouTube for some reason. 5 goals. Is that the? Oh, it is now 5-0. Thank you, Jody Shields. Jody's, at least an Aussie's keeping us posted. Blake is too. Melbourne, Tom Fishbeck says. Melbourne. Detroit, Clark Chapin tells us, Julia, means the Straits. Between Lake Erie and Lake Huron, presumably.
Yeah. But I mean, from the right.
Straight. Now it means straight.
Okay.
Geradeaus, auf Deutsch. D was 4th in Rio, David James reminds us. I mean, Norway is owning the medal table. We're coming to that too, Gordon Smith. Speaking, with the segues are fabulous today. Gordon's just given us one to the medal table.
Right.
We've always been doing this after John's report at the Winter Olympics. Norway is leading 17 gold, 37 total. They're running away with it. The U.S. in second, 9 gold, 27 total. Italy, 9 gold, 26. So right with the U.S. Netherlands, 7 and 17. And Germany has eclipsed Austria.
Wow.
They moved into 5th place, 6 gold, 22 total medals. I can't leave the Olympics without mentioning this win by the USA hockey team over Sweden. It was a hell of a game. It was overtime. Fabulous game. So if Husted is watching, we texted back and forth, and it was just in fact, the Swedish goaltender, Julia, was spectacular. Because the U.S. outshot them 2-1 or some ridiculous, shots on goal. And that's a metric that we all use in hockey. And they the Swedish goalie was unbelievable. Well, then, to the surprise of some, they've been pretty good all along. The U.S. women won the gold medal over Canada in the finals. So hopefully that's a precursor for what's going to come on Sunday. And then this meme, one of you sent me this. I couldn't help but put it in, the eagle and the goose. I don't normally put something in, but I'll do that. And then, of course, last night, or yesterday, but we saw it on the tube here last night, the American curling, the women curlers won the gold. Who'd they play in their final? Do you remember?
I don't know, because I don't have the patience to watch curling.
Clark Chapin says the overtime goal in the women's hockey final was by a Michigander. Larry Kennedy says Charlie McAvoy used to skate with me. Larry is an old hockey player.
Good to know.
Joe Holtzman said, during my college days, I visited the salt mines in and below Detroit. It is staggering how big. It's just unbelievable. The U.S.-Canada final, Lance Burke is saying the winner gets Greenland. Well, what about Denmark? What about the locals? So bravo Zulu to the women of the U.S. Curling team. But also this game earlier today was another fabulous game. Finland and Canada was the other hockey semifinal. And Husted was telling me, don't worry, the Finns are going to win. The Finns were up 2-0. It looked like the Finns might eclipse Canada, and I've been saying Canada's going to win the whole thing.
Oh, you were?
But, yeah, I may be wrong. The U.S. looks pretty good, especially in their semifinal as we're watching whatever the score is now, 5-0. But there is a reason for bringing all this up, and I'll tell you in a moment. But Finland did finally, Canada finally came from behind and did win 3-2 this morning. And it was an amazing game. And Husted, he owes me something. He said, don't worry about the look at the hockey, my friend. Finland is coming. He kept telling me Finland was going to beat Canada. And, of course, the Canadians, as I just said, advanced to the gold medal game on Sunday with a last-minute goal.
Wow.
Over Finland. It looked like it was going to go into overtime, but Canada comes from behind to defeat Finland 3-2 this morning. And now the other semifinal game is in play, as you all know, the USA versus Slovakia. And that one looks all but over with a period to go. I think the U.S. are well and true. What are they up, 5-0? Something like that.
Said.
Okay, again, a method to this madness. You asked me, Julia, why am I prattling on about this? I've been thinking, as I said at the top of the show, a lot about the Olympics and about sailing Olympics and what is making some of these sports that we're watching so popular on the tube and among the fans. I mean, look at Jody is talking about the hockey.
Yeah.
An Australian, okay, get the puck out of here. He's making a joke. But, people are watching the hockey. People are watching the curling.
I know.
And I'm not a curling fan by any stretch, but, I've been watching for the last three Olympics. So I've got an idea. And there is a longtime old friend, Patricia Schollard, painter, her married name. Tom, USA hockey dominating the Olympics. Farmington player Megan Keller winning for the women. Yes, Clark Chapin just mentioned that. Michigan State and Michigan dominating college hockey. Grandkids playing youth hockey in Detroit. We're immersed in hockey here.
Well, that sounds
Pat Schollard's family, the Schollard family, led by her late great father, Bill Schollard, who was an executive at Ford. They were sailors par excellence. The whole family at our little club growing up in Michigan, and her sisters and her brother, both of her, they just all played. And yes, hockey players in our, at least in our day, I don't know if it's still true, but Julie, at least in our day, you played hockey in the winter and sailed in the summer. And now, of course, most sports, youth sports included, are year round, which has its pros and cons. But in a lot of our country, in the upper Midwest, particularly in the Northeast, a lot of hockey players are also sailors and vice versa. Why not skiers, you will ask?
Why not? Because there aren't any hills.
No, because the coaches wouldn't let us ski. They were afraid we were going to break our legs or sprain our ankles.
And you might have.
Well, and they might have. They said, no, we don't want you skiing. We want you serious here for the hockey. You can sail. Go to Florida and sail at Davis Island Yacht Club in the Fireball Midwinters. So look at that. Replying to Clark Chavens, lots of great comments coming in. And here's Jody's comment. People watch these sports because they are easy to watch on TV and you can understand the game. Sailing struggles with this. Spot on, Jody.
Absolutely. Amen.
You agree with that, Julia?
Yes, I do.
Absolutely. Well done. Pat Schollard, say it again. Really nice to see you on the show and in the comments. Say hi to the rest of your. I had a thing on for one of her sisters. Two of her sisters. Pat was a bit older. She's 2-3 years older than I.
Oh, older woman.
Maybe 4. But she had a sister, Robin, and another sister who I was very fond of, Chris.
Yes, dear.
Julia, sailing in the Olympics. I've got a plan. I've been thinking about this. I've been, as Jody said, watching the hockey, watching the curling, and I think he is spot on. And I am going to launch a little modest plan on Tuesday on the show to protect and revitalize Olympic sailing.
What a good idea.
So I hope you'll tune in. It's a little different than what most others have talked about. I'm not talking about John Sangmeister's offshore event. I'm not talking about putting match racing back in per se. But I've got another thought, and maybe we'll have a panel on. Maybe I'll launch the plan, see what the chat is, and maybe later next week or the following week we'll get a panel on and discuss it. If you might all think it's terrible, but it's been noodling here. And next Tuesday we're going to talk about not only from then till now what's been going on, but a plan to protect. I think we stand a substantial chance of losing the Olympics, losing sailing from the Olympics.
Yes,
a plan to revitalize and, of course, protect sailing in the Olympics. What other comments here before I leave all of that? The Irish guy was better than Snoop Dogg. Lance. Match racing, John Sangmeister's on match racing. He was still brilliant, though, Dave. I don't know what they're talking about. Oh, I mean Snoop Dogg. Steve Gruber asking, why do they always flip the picture to show the boat on starboard tack? I don't know. That's a good question.
Do they?
Well, I think it's not starboard tack so much. Well, I think he's talking about this. I think it's so you show movement from left to right. Most people's brains work from left to right, right? I mean, I prepare this show with movement from left to right, in case you hadn't noticed, except for the one thing that we do, the swoosh. So for what that's worth. I mean, look at the lower thirds.
Yep.
Right? That swoosh is technically from right to left, but we can't win them all. Now, you see that cover slide for today's show, which I have to put those together the night before.
Yep.
As I did this one, I thought we should feature the Nelson's Cup because it's a big deal. It's a bit of a change from what we've been talking about, Sail GP and the Finn class and so on, Australia. And I only had a low-res version of this fabulous photo. Deep blue is Wendy Schmidt's new boat. And I asked Andrew McIrvin last night, he was certainly already at dinner, if not already in bed in Antigua, if he could please ask their PR people to send me a high res of that photo, which he did. Thank you, Andrew, very much.
Oh, yes.
And that's why that image is so beautiful. That is a high res image, which I was able to replace the low res that I was using as a placeholder just before we went to air. Fabulous stuff coming out of the RORC, James Boyd, and of course, Mr. Doctor. And I now prepare, not every show, but I now prepare 2 possible slides. And I send them to the Super Fozy.
Yeah.
Remember I had that one of Jody with his crack?
Right.
They say it's Jody. I don't believe it's Jody, but they do. Here you go. This is the one I prepared last night. So, well, maybe we should use this one because this is a picture that I've received of Andrew McIrvin. And I thought, how about this for a title, working title for the show? RORC Nelson's Cup, no cheating on my watch. IRC Chair and Superfozy Andrew McIrvin, next stop, Olympic curling. I thought that was funny. And there's Andrew up there. He's got his binoculars. He's watching the Maxis go at it in the Nelson's Cup down at Antigua. He's so highly respected. We're lucky to have people like all of our Superfozy, but particularly him and Claire and a few others that are doing magnificent things for our beloved sport. Yeah, they're back on those boats that they flip to starboard tack. Yeah, but the North Sails logo and the Kilroy on the hull are reversed. I didn't do that. I don't know why. Mark Husted. Tom, I think living in a country which is the national sport, meaning Sweden, I guess, Aussie living in Sweden, Göteborg, I think he lives in Gothenburg. Some friends are starting to understand the hockey is important here, as you know, and believe me, you're going to have a war with Canada.
Right.
Okay. Looks like he's asleep on the watch. No, he was up there watching, and I think whoever took the photo just caught him when he was blinking the sun out of his eyes. So thank you for that. And some fabulous photos coming. This almost looks like a painting, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Huh?
Yes.
Doesn't that look like a painting? And I don't know if James Boyd, I think he took this. He's the guy that does the PR for Andrew and for the Maxis. And this was on their first day when a squall came through. They've had the full mix of weather down there in Antigua, but this is deep blue in the background, there in the left background. That's Wendy's new boat. And Leopard 3 that eventually won this Nelson's Cup, at least the Maxi division. So bravo Zulu to them. While Antigua's
fabulous picture.
Say again?
It was a fabulous picture.
Isn't it? While Antigua is renowned for its brisk trade winds and lively Atlantic swell, those taking part in today's, this was a couple days ago, first IMA Maxi class races in the RORC's Nelson's Cup, instead found themselves soaked and bewildered as the squall passed through, reducing visibility to zero, the wind suddenly blowing 25 knots, plus and accompanied by an intense tropical deluge.
Not what they had in mind.
5 yachts are competing in the IMA Maxi class at the Nelson's Cup, all of which competed in the first edition of this prelude to the RORC's Caribbean 600 offshore race, which starts in a few days. The lineup comprises 2 ex-Wally Centos sharing the same IRC rating of 1.798. Chris Flowers, Galatea, winner of the IMA's 2025 Mediterranean Maxi Inshore Challenge, and Carl Komarek's 5V, it's just V, which finished second overall in the IMA Maxi class in the 2025 Nelson's Cup. Making it a trio of 100-footers was Joost Schuyfs, I don't know how to say that in Dutch. Joost Schuyfs, Leopard 3, very familiar with these waters and recently fitted with new rudders, an interceptor, and a new aero package.
What is that?
Well, let's see. We'll get it, Andrew, if he's still watching, to tell us what an interceptor is in the chat. There's Deep Blue. There's Wendy's boat in the foreground. There's V in the background left. And it's just astonishing what the RORC and the IMA, Andrew and co, have going. Antigua saved the best for the last yesterday with trade winds edging into the high teens for the third and final day of racing for the Nelson's Cup. 2 final coastal races were held, the first 20 miles, the second 10 miles. The Maxi fleet now very familiar with the coastal nature of the course, and especially its start featuring a sheer cliff off its leeward end. On top of this cliff is the ancient 18th century Fort Charlotte, from where the race committee led by Nigel Biggs was operating. And then it goes on to talk about what happened in the racing, and there was some issue. One of the boats had some boom issues. But bottom line, the come from behind IMA Maxi victory for Leopard 3. That's what happened yesterday, and these fabulous photos continue, and I've just
they are
a couple that aren't they?
Yes.
It was very tight going into the last race, commented a delighted Leopard 3 owner, Joost, whose last name I can't pronounce. When we realized that, I said to the crew, we've done this before, winning a last race and not making any mistakes with all the training paying off, etc. As a team, we are very strong and the boat is very good. We're still in our program of improving different things, and we're getting better and better. We're constantly close with the other hundreds now. Well, they've won.
Mm-hmm.
His wife, Laura, added, we're seeing the young guys really coming up, really owning it and making a difference. We've got really good, I love this, good young sailors, including an Antiguan on board who's doing really well.
That's good.
Look, just tell us a bit about how the last 3 days have gone.
Yeah, interesting. We obviously made some mods to the boat after the Mediterranean season with an aero package, interceptor, rudders. So we were quite excited to test it all out. We're not sure which one of them made the best difference, to be honest. But at the end of the day, we are competitive, and you know, it's fantastic for the 100-foot class. Especially having deep blue in there to mix it up. So we've got, you know, I think it's really important that we've got the hundreds, the smaller boats, anyone can win on their day. Everybody had a win over the course of the week. So I think it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant over 6 days.
And today we had, I think, the best conditions of the last 3 days. Can you just tell us a bit?
Yeah, I mean, we were pleasantly surprised when we hoisted the main and there was a little bit more wind than what there was yesterday. But what was even better was that little rain squall came through, and we were anticipating the wind to go back to that sort of 13, 14.
Yeah.
But it stayed at 17, 18, and we knew that, you know, we're on fire with those conditions, because just with the canning keel, the dagger boards, we know we're quite potent as opposed to in the 11 to 13. So yeah, we're really happy, and the key to it was getting a great start on that last race to put us in the mix. So we're quite conservative throughout the week. The idea was we didn't come here to win the regatta. We came here to check in, see where we're at. Caribbean 600. North Sound Regatta, and then obviously set up for the Mediterranean season. So we've got a few more mods coming online. So it was really important as a check-in. And to come away with a win, yeah, we're super excited and super happy with the boat. The owners have loved it. It's been great sailing. If you can't enjoy the sailing out there today, you might as well give the game away.
Well,
yeah,
I guess that video's not as long as my little timer in the corner thought it was, but great stuff. Bravo Zulu.
He's good, very good. There's something very genuine about what he was.
I was thinking the same thing. You want to go have a coffee or a beer with this guy. What a nice... Jekyll 125. Who's Jecky? Jekyll 125. Is that Andrew McIrvin? Dr. Jekyll on YouTube? I'm not sure who that is, but interceptor is a deflector lip right at the aft of the hull, copied from motorboats, but fixed, not variable. So it must come off the transom, and it must be, what, a little deflector down to help smooth the flow, leaving the back of the hull. So is that what it is? If this is the hull up here, and it's just a little deflector down, so the water flowing, we'll see, I think I've got that right. But it's not adjustable like you have on a power boat, where you're trying to adjust the ride height, the bow, and the planing, so on, of a power boat. Back to the crew. I don't have the names of the crew. We love to use the names and list them all. We can't do that today, but the prize giving for the IMA Maxi class, backed by the IMA and the RORC, was held at the historic Admiral's Inn in Antigua. If you've been there, it's a fabulous spot. Nelson Dockyard. English Harbor. Leopard 3 picked up the top prize, and it was wonderful to see, with Wendy Schmidt and Liz Flowers picking up the prizes for second and third. 2/3 of the podium comprising female skippers.
Yay!
In a 100-foot class, a 100-foot class.
Yes.
Racing continues tomorrow with the Antigua 360 race, that's around the island, followed by the start of the RORC Caribbean 600 on Monday. So Bravo Zulu to Andrew McIrvin, our super Fozy, one of our super Fozies, to the RORC, of course. He's a former admiral of the RORC, to the owners and crews of these magnificent boats, and everybody else that was participating in the event. I mean, it was just by all accounts a superb event.
From the stern, the winning boat looks like it's as long as it is wide.
Oh, it is. They're big, big, wide boats these days. Eve Marie Tanton is on. I'm not sure if he's going to help us out with what an interceptor is, but if you can, Eve Marie, that would be great. Clark Chabin talking about identifying the crew. Well, they're pretty good. The IMA is generally pretty good about James Boyd and co. putting out the names of the sailors. Not as good as Robert Deves. That guy with the fin class, and he does the OK Dinghy. Every picture has the name of the person in the picture in a little caption under it, and that helps. Richard Gladwell and I talk about this because Gladwell puts together those fabulous photo essays for Sail World, and it's so nice to know who they are and not have to go try to figure out if you want to use the picture, yada, yada. Back to Sail GP, the Blackfoils and the French, DS Team France, to sit out Sydney Sail Grand Prix as a review of that horrific crash continues. As you know, we're not going to go back.
That picture just kills me.
Yeah, I don't want to go back and replay any of the videos, Julia, but that was the aftermath of the Kiwi boat. Now, I guess the good news is that Southern Spars, which is owned by North Sails, which is owned now by, well, the big conglomerate, but this is, you see what this is? This is a patchwork quilt here of those two boats. That's the French boat, that part of it, of the platform, the hull on the starboard side, and the beams are the French beams. And then this part here, I need to change to something else. Let's see if I can do this and not make a fool of myself. Look at that, Julia. This part is from the Kiwi hull. That's the port side of the Kiwi hull that, they didn't get crashed into. What do you think of that?
That's amazing.
And they're trying to rebuild the boat, I assume for the French, because the French were not deemed to have been at fault in that collision. So we'll see. That's the word, and here is from Sail GP on their website this morning. Following comprehensive inspection and non-destructive testing, components from both F-50s have been assessed. The New Zealand Central Pod and port hull have been cleared for reuse, while its starboard hull and crossbeam sustained extensive structural damage. The French Central Pod beams and starboard hull have passed inspection following repair work, while its port hull suffered. Of course, that's the port, though. That's the hull that crashed into the Kiwis, and will not return to service. Engineering teams are now focused on rebuilding a race-ready platform by combining viable components from both boats. Both teams have been advised they will not race in Sydney. So there's the confirmation, with all efforts directed toward returning them safely to the start line as soon as possible. So I assume by Rio they'll have this boat ready for the French, but that's just a guess on my part. Now this is a little more disturbing news. Two athletes, New Zealand's Louis Sinclair and France's Manon Audonnet, were evacuated from the race course by Sail GP's on-water safety team and taken to hospital for treatment. Sinclair underwent surgery to a fracture to his right. Apparently he had compound fractures in both legs and is in stable condition, now home. And we've seen a picture of him being escorted by some of his teammates and friends. He's standing on one of these things that you put your arms on and walking after this, just a couple days after the surgery earlier this week. So I'm not going to stick that picture in here, but he is up and about and home. Audine, who sustained abdominal bruising. Remember, she was on the leeward side looking forward. She was on the port side looking forward, presumably giving, shouting up to Quentin saying, hey, you better come up because these guys are, and there was only a split second from when they spun up and the collision happened. So, there wasn't a lot of time for her to give, let alone for Quentin Delapierre to react. But she went through the steering wheel on the leeward side when the boat stopped, and she kept going. And she sustained abdominal bruising and remains under medical observation as a precaution. They say, is recovering well, but she's got some internal.
That's a hard place for ladies.
Well, for everybody, but particularly ladies, I guess. A full review of the incident is underway, including detailed analysis of performance data and onboard systems to understand precisely what occurred and identify any learnings. Athlete welfare remains SailGP's highest priority, and any findings will be acted upon in line with how similar incidents have been managed in the past, Julia. So, bravo Zulu to Russell for a good bit of PR, and there still is a lot of concern. There's a lot of things coming out around the world. YouTube, podcasts, a lot of stuff. And Pete Burling and Blair Tuke did a presser yesterday. What's today? Friday. I believe it's yesterday. Richard Gladwell was there, covered it extensively. I didn't put the video in because, frankly, other than them saying they had a problem with the port side foil went up against the limit, I don't know. And I don't think they know, and I don't think SailGP yet knows, so they may know by. But to me, and I'll say it again, I said it after I saw this incident to several of you anyway. I'm not sure if I said it on the show. It looks to me like when you rush around after Perth, after Fremantle, and put a boat that, they broke there. Rush around, put a boat back together, fly in pieces from Southampton into New Zealand, and then only have a couple hours to test it out on the water Friday morning because it was so windy they couldn't have a practice race. I think that's when you have problems like this. I wouldn't be at all surprised if they had an electrical or mechanical failure on the Kiwi boat. And it wasn't just Pete steering it, oversteering it, or, and Jody did quite a bit of analysis on the helm. So who knows? And I don't know. We'll see what they say. And if any of you are sleuthing and want to do a little video report for us, that would be much appreciated.
I can't help but think it is the accelerated speed combined with not thorough knowledge of how to handle the boats.
Well, I think that's part of it. I think you're right. Jekyll 125 is Mr. Doctor in alter ego. He's on YouTube instead of his normal Facebook. There is a rumor, that's Dogzilla Monster Stingray up in Seattle, of more AM, American Magic developments to come within a week or two. And that, I can say, is what I am also hearing, Stingray. So stand by for that. I don't know about a ruptured spleen, Doctor. You would know more about that than I. I've heard all sorts of, but I don't want to get into that because it's rumors. I don't have even a decent one here is about what's happened to her. But if she's still in hospital, if she's still under medical observation, which is a polite way of saying she's in hospital, then, she's not 100%.
No, that's a very tricky place to have a injury.
Wishing them both speedy recovery. Yes, John Ammett, thank you. And that's, he's saying that on behalf of all of us.
All of us. Yeah.
All of us. Fritz Mueller, they should implement crash test dummies to test for safety. These robo-boats could easily be tested with I think RC meaning radio controlled, yeah. There have been reported software control gremlins and hardware failures during the races. Well, I think that's not unusual during any race. I think they're struggling with that. Remember, these boats are a bit old by now. Some of them date to 2017, maybe before that.
Wow. So
Denmark had a fault too. Yes, John Emmett's confirming. Jody Shields, who knows a lot about this, says all these issues have been in the introduction of, have been really since from the introduction of the T-foils, Julia.
Yes.
We talked about that on Tuesday's show. Way too much loading being put on and through and to this platform that was not built for the T-foils, which are keeping the yacht tracking forward, and they're not sliding. So they used to slide a little bit when they had the L-foils.
Yeah.
And now they're really loading the platform up, platform meaning the two hulls and the cross beams.
Yeah.
And the crowded course area and the speed, Fritz Mueller saying, and Ed Worley is chiming in here again, the Italian team lost control during the race because of software control issues overriding the controls. Anyway, it's a complicated boat. And Clark Chapin, maybe we'll give him the bottom line, as horseback riders would say, those boats have been rode hard, ridden hard, and put away wet.
Yeah.
You want to see an interesting picture?
Yes.
This is the remains, apparently, of both boats, or some of the remains of both of the boats, out in a dumpster behind Southern Spars. That was sent to me by Richard Gladwell. But before you think that Richard was dumpster diving out behind Southern Spars in New Zealand, that is a screen grab from a television report that he saw on one of the stations down there, and he got a screen grab of, and he said, you know, you would have thought people would be a little more careful putting this stuff out, not just throwing it away like that and giving the television stations a chance to do that. Carbon neutral. There's Mark Husted, the hockey fan in Sweden, the Aussie hockey fan. Anyone that has foiled will understand the momentum of foiling is slower in reality. It looks faster to a person in a stationary position. There is a lot to take in. Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point, Mark. Jody Shields, when you have to introduce a safety measure into the system to stop the platforms falling, like the Brazilian boat, you know, when they did their cartwheel, they fell off the foils and augured in with their bows. You have to think something is fundamentally wrong. Well, there you go. Well, there's a lot of opinions, and that's why I'm not going to get into it further than that now. What's the score now? Somebody said 5-1, 6-1 of the game up on the tube. Still comfortable. The U.S. still have a comfortable lead, apparently. So that's the results. That's the standings. We told you on Tuesday. Nothing, of course, has changed. That's the season standings, with Claire's favorite Tom Slingsby on top. A lot of our Fozy supporting the superb Dylan Fletcher in second, Emirates GBR, presumably also going to be driving the British America's Cup boat. We'll see. Quentin Delapierre, despite having crashed out in Auckland, in third.
Good for him.
And on down the list with your team, Julia.
Yeah.
In sixth.
Yep.
Los Gallos. Oops, I didn't do my. That wasn't very good, was it?
No.
I'll go back to my box. I think when I stick with a box, I'm better off.
Yeah.
When I'm using the mouse.
They do tend to stay in the middle, front and middle of fleet.
Well, they won last year. Your team did.
Yeah.
5-1 is the score with 12 minutes left in the third period. Okay, enough of the hockey.
Welcome to the KPN
This is the preview for the event the week after next. Talk about music. Short and Sharp, February 28th and March 1st in Sydney, with two of the teams not there, Julia.
Yes.
Two of the teams not there. Okay, the America's Cup. Shall we go back and do a bit of a review on what's going on with legal stuff and otherwise? We told you about John Sweeney, our longtime friend here in the Bay Area, was with us on Oracle, Otusa, Oracle Team USA, and the Brits won last year. Thank you, John Emmett, the year before the Spanish. And John's a hell of a good sailor and a business guy. He's made a lot of money in the tech business here in the Bay Area. And he, as you know from what he's been posting on Facebook and otherwise, and now other people are picking up on his threats. And he says, he's told me by text, so we haven't talked on the phone, but he tells me he intends to file a lawsuit in March. He's also in touch with the Attorney General. He's heard back from the Attorney General, who asked for a copy of the latest copy of the deed of gift. And John thinks that maybe the Attorney General and the Charities Bureau, which is one of the divisions of the AG's office in the state of New York, is maybe taking an interest in this case vis-a-vis the defender and the challenger of record. So we shall see.
I think that's very interesting.
Well, we'll see. Meanwhile, the other potential stakeholders are keeping their powder dry, and I think everybody's waiting to see how this goes, if in fact John files and whether he gets standing in court. But the media in Italy and beyond are starting to pick up on this now. Faravela reporting, and this has got people's cojones in an uproar in a lot of corners of the world now, in the America's Cup world. Back in court, John Sweeney's case against ACP management will be filed in March. Article in our comment on the link. And the Italians press are not amused because they want this cup to go on ASAP in their country. I don't blame them. Joe Holtzman says, good for John. I support him all the way. Ed Worley says, one hears. This is going to get real interesting. Well, we'll see. We'll see. But there's more water to come over the dam. And this cartoon, which a lot of you liked, several of you asked me to put this up again. And I don't know who did this cartoon. It came from John Sweeney before Tuesday's show. And, we've said this a lot. The deed of gift is about, you can make fun of the guys in their blazers there on the left, but it's about yacht club versus yacht club, not about creating corporate contracts and big money and business and America's Cup property. You can't do that. And I think John, if he gets the standing to go to court, or if somebody else who has standing goes to court, I think they will win on that point. I don't think they'll win on the waterline length issue, which John has done. And I don't think, John, if you're watching, I don't think you should be trying to amend the deed yourself because the deed works. And part of the problem that these guys on the right of that slide have, the ACP guys, is that they know in the back of their dark little minds dark little hearts maybe, they've got to amend the deed for ACP to work. And the court's not going to allow that because, as Hamish Ross said on this show a couple weeks ago when we had him on, you don't take somebody's will after they're long gone and amend it. Unless you go to court, as I've asserted, and Hamish agrees, unless you go to court and convince the court that the deed of gift and what it purports to do is no longer practicable. In other words, if the guy or gal have left money for the research and manufacture of buggy whips 100 years ago, you go to court and say, hey, you know what? Maybe that money ought to be now, the deed ought to be amended to say that money ought to be going to
propulsion of something else.
To what?
Propulsion of something else.
Well, maybe to some modern day technology, not to buggy whip. So without using a specific example. But wait, there's more, because things are heating up in Naples as well, as you saw our friend from Great Lakes Sailing, Greg Norman, say in the chat earlier on, because this guy, whom I've never heard of until in the last couple of weeks, and I've been staying off this, Julia. In fairness, I thought, every time the Cup happened somewhere, the first time the Cup was in New Zealand, and they had to clear up what was called the log farm and that corner of the viaduct in the harbor. And the fishermen were all upset and they threatened lawsuits, and the government and the local government and the central government. There's always some issue. You can't move a big event in here without some concerns. So I haven't been paying a lot of attention because I agree. I don't think they're ever going to get this area cleaned up and put the team bases on Bagnoli. But it's more than that. At least if you take the Cup to your hometown, to Auckland, people are going to be out of their minds with joy that it's back there in their hometown. And they'll make arrangements to make it all work. Everybody will work together for the most part with the local yacht, with the in this case the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, with the teams, because everybody wants to have a huge success of it.
Right.
I mean, look at how well New Zealand did in the midst of COVID with the 2021 event. They still got through it. They still made it happen, because where there's a will, there's a way.
Yes.
And there was a will. I'm not sure there's a will now so much in Naples, because the locals are not amused. This guy, Carlo Claps, what a great name. Carlo Claps, Julia.
Yes.
Come on. It's nothing to clap about. Remember that joke? Venereal disease is nothing to clap about. I couldn't help myself. He's the president of a nonprofit called ADACON. It's a consumer-oriented nonprofit. First, we will submit, he says, a request for access to documents. We want to see the paperwork, not just the renderings. This is about Bagnoli and about the redevelopment of Bagnoli for the team bases. In addition, we will send a formal warning to the institutions, meaning the government, addressed to the special commissioner and the relevant ministries. Any exemption from environmental regulations for the development of Bagnoli will be immediately challenged in the administrative court. Finally, we are considering a preventative class action. ADACON, concludes Claps, is evaluating the grounds for a class action to protect the right to health of the residents of Bagnoli and Coroglio, threatening multi-million euro compensation claims if the remediation plan turns to custard. Oh, he didn't say that. Turns out to be a bluff. The committees are right to guard the territory, but the battle is also won in the courtrooms. That's translated from the Italian in Il Mattino, one of the big publications there. America's Cup 2027 has sparked days of protests from the residents of Bagnoli. And he goes on, this big protest that happened on February 7th, yada, yada, yada. Quote, we will not allow the health of Neapolitans to become a bargaining chip for a tourist showcase, declares Carlo Claps, president of ADACON. We have listened to the reasons of those protesting in the streets and made them our own. Apparently this guy's got some whack, got some clout. A legal war strategy has been defined on 3 fronts, and we just talked a little bit about that. So I don't know where this is all going. I don't want to see the cup in court at any level, but I also don't want to see the cup ruined by corporate greed and otherwise by people who think they single-handedly can change what has worked very well for 170 years and will continue to work. As we've talked about on this show now many times, just read the deed and execute the deed. Have a defending yacht club in the hometown, invite challengers to challenge, let the challengers run their challenger selection series, let the winner of the challenger selection series meet the defender in the match. Simple, easy peasy.
Yeah.
And if the defender decides to have a single team, great. If they decide to have defense trials with multiple teams competing to be their defender, great. It worked beautifully for many years.
Yes.
And teams formed. In fact, a lot more teams formed. And they're saying, oh, we got to have this ACP to raise money. And all it's doing is raising money to put money in certain people's pockets.
Yeah, that's what disturbs me, because it's not something that's designed to make money.
Well, it's right. It's a challenge cup. And you put a team together through one way or another. A billionaire funds it, or you go around with a tin cup and collect a lot. And teams have done both. But we had a lot more teams when we were just running the strict deed of gift type, not necessarily under the default provisions of the deed, but what was happening in Newport from 58 and through Perth in 87, what went on in New Zealand, San Diego, and Valencia up through 07, and it's turned to custard, frankly, since then. So that's, especially it's going to turn to custard with this ACP. Margarita Marshall, who is Italian and knows more about this than just about anybody, says
Yes.
just politics, left versus the right. Blake is updating the score. It's now 6-2 USA. And on and on. Julia, what happened on this day in history? The 20th of February, 1962.
62.
62. This is a big year for this kind of stuff. Because we're going back to the moon, supposedly. We're not going to land on the moon, but supposedly we're sending a team to go back and orbit. If not orbit, at least go around it.
That it wasn't the disaster, huh?
No. 62. There's another clue for you. There is a clue for you.
Oh.
Friendship 7.
They got bounced in the water.
Well, that was the first. Not Alan Shepard. He was the first. He was suborbital, right? He just went up and came back down. And was this the third flight of the so-called Mercury program, the single astronaut in a capsule? John Glenn orbits. Yes, Fritz Mueller's got it. Steve Gruber's got it. John Glenn orbits. The Soviet Union had dominated the space race in the late 50s and early 60s with two significant firsts. First satellite launch, Sputnik 1, you remember that? In 57. I don't remember that. I was too young then. But the first man in space, Yuri Gagarin, on the 12th of April, 61, I do remember. America decided to step up its game under President John F. Kennedy, the great sailor. The government had set itself lofty goals, including a manned moon landing in just a decade, less than a decade.
Yeah.
That was amazing. And when he sat, we all thought he was nuts. My parents did anyway. John Glenn, the man selected to be the first American to orbit the Earth, had been a distinguished World War II fighter pilot, and in 57 made the first supersonic transcontinental flight across America. Everybody thought his plane was going to blow up, disintegrate when it went supersonic. On February 20th, 1962, this day in history, he orbited the Earth 3 times aboard his Friendship 7 spacecraft in just under 5 hours. And here is a very brief video about that.
February 20th, 1962. America was losing the space race until this man risked his life to change history. John Glenn, a former fighter pilot, climbed into the tiny Friendship 7 capsule. His mission? To become the first American to orbit Earth. But things didn't go as planned. At over 17,000 miles per hour, Glenn completed his first orbit, but Houston noticed something terrifying. His heat shield might be loose. If true, re-entry would turn him into a fireball. Glenn had no choice but to stay calm. As his capsule entered the atmosphere, flames engulfed it. Radio contact was lost. For 4 minutes, the world held its breath. Then, parachutes deployed. He had survived. Glenn became an American hero, proving that NASA was ready for the moon race. Decades later, at age 77, he went to space again, becoming the oldest astronaut ever.
I thought it was cool to celebrate him in the same show as we're celebrating Gus Miller. And we've been celebrating Kayard, who was only 66, but at 77, he went up. So it was quite a decade. Yeah, Steve Gruber, glory days of the U.S. space program, Ed Worley is saying. But more than that, the guy had a minor sailing connection because the Kennedys, of course, were big sailors. They had one of several boats. He had a starboat, JFK did, but he also had a boat called Victoria, which was a Wiano Senior. Those of you who have sailed out in Cape Cod will know about the Wiano Seniors and Juniors, but at a public ceremony bestowing a medal on John Glenn, Jack Kennedy said, "Some months ago, I said that I hoped every American would serve his country." Don't ask what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Wasn't that the quote?
Yes.
Today, Colonel Glenn served his. We have a long way to go in this space race. This is the new ocean, and I believe that the United States must sail on it and be in a position second to none. The right stuff.
Yes.
Indeed, Fritz Mueller. But it gets better. So he takes Glenn out to Cape Cod, to Hyannisport, and he says, we're going sailing. It was a blustery, blowing day, or the Kennedy's mother, what was her name? Mrs. Kennedy? She said, we're going sailing. Well, when my family walked down from the house toward the Ethel Kennedy, with Ethel, we could see someone working on Victoria. They were wearing leather jackets and old clothes, and as we got out toward the end of the dock, it became a little more apparent who these people were. It was the president and Mrs. Kennedy, later Jackie O, rigging the sails. Any doubts I had about sailing in that weather were somewhat Yeah, Rose Kennedy was the mom.
Rose
Thank
Kennedy,
you, Mark
yeah.
Michelson. Ethel was what? His
That's
sister.
yeah.
And there is Victura, the 25-foot sloop. It's a Wiano Senior. I've sailed those once or twice, 3 times maybe. It's a one-design sloop, still sailed today. Classic historic boat. You can see the rigging points there on the main. And John Glenn went sailing. To truly understand the dynamics and magic of the Kennedy family, one must understand their passion for sailing and the sea. Many families sail together, but the Kennedys' relationship with Victura, the 25-foot sloop purchased in 32, stands apart. Throughout their brief lives, Joe Jr., which was JFK's older brother, Jack and Bobby spent many hours racing Victura. Lack of effort in a race by one of his sons could infuriate the father, the patriarch, Joseph P. Kennedy, and Joe Jr. and Jack ranked among the best collegiate sailors in New England at Harvard. Likewise, Eunice emerged as a gifted sailor and fierce competitor, the equal of many of her brothers, and she became head with her husband, Sergeant Eunice Schreiber, Eunice Kennedy Schreiber of the Special Olympics in the U.S.
And it remained so for quite a while.
I almost went to work for them. I interviewed with them at a fancy Washington, D.C. restaurant. Then they offered me the job. Then I went to the America's Cup. I'm not kidding.
I know.
It was great fun. The Kennedys believed that Jack's experience sailing Victura helped him survive the sinking of his PT boat during World War II.
I'm sure that's true.
In the 50s, glossy Life magazine photos of Jack and Jackie on Victura's bow and on their sailfish and helped define the winning Kennedy brand. Jack doodled sketches of Victura during Oval Office meetings, and it's probable that his love of seafaring played a role in his 1961 decision to put a man on the moon. Now, that sounds a little bit of a stretch, but an enterprise he referred to as spacefaring, Julia.
I think that's lovely.
So the sailing connection and the greatness of our sport, albeit tangential. There's a scrum going on here, Julia. 6-2 with 1:43 to go. It's getting a little rough and tumble there. Oh, the days I used to referee. I never refereed at the pro level, a semi-pro level, but college hockey was bad enough. These are big, strong boys, too. Oh, great fun, great memories. So our beloved sport has meant a lot.
I certainly understand as a newcomer to sailing, these 40 years ago, I learned how to deal with all kinds of forces.
Adversity.
And adversity.
Self-reliance.
Yes. Well, there wasn't any other way.
Exactly. And that we keep saying that, and I believe that is so true today as it was in 1962. And of course, you've heard me on this show and beyond assert that I do believe that the big boom and the big growth in our sport in the 60s, 70s, and even 80s for that matter. Okay. Fiberglass had a lot to do with that. Dacron had a lot to do with it. Inexpensive one-design boats like the Sunfish, the Sailfish Sunfish, then the Laser, had a lot to do with that. But the Kennedys and the class and style and dignity and grace, the aspirational, I want to be like the Kennedys, and they sail. They play touch football.
Yeah.
The boys do, and the whole family sails.
And they're not sailing in 100-foot boats.
Well, exactly.
Captained by somebody. They're sailing themselves in small boats.
Really good point. Really good point. Commodore Harrington saying Victoria might have been lost in that fire in Osterville. Yeah, I remember that. Sailing a yacht and flying a plane has many things in common. The person needs to be in harmony with nature. Yeah, James Bland also saying home-built boats came through in the UK particularly, and other places, but the UK was fabulous with the Fireball and many other boats. The Optimus dinghy, the DN ice boat with slab-sided plywood, knock them out in your garage and go sailing. We got to get the cost down. John Sengmeister always reminds us you got to get the cost down.
And he's absolutely right.
And he is absolutely right. I'm going to talk about that next week on my prescription, my formula for revitalizing Olympic sailing.
Okay.
Julia, we're to the last leg, and I don't have a video today. I saw what Magnus the Magnificent wrote this morning, and it played so well with what we were talking about, the Bravo Zulu we were doing for the RORC and the IMA. His headline today, Magnus's blog post on the Rule 69 blog on Substack, said, eyeing the 600, which is starts Monday, but the preliminary racing that's going on. The peerless RORC season is already in full swing. I mean, don't forget they've had that feeder race from Europe down to the Caribbean.
Oh, yes.
That's already happened. And Magnus writes, the busiest yacht club in the world by a country mile. Yeah, I suppose that's true. There's some other very busy yacht clubs. San Diego Yacht Club's a pretty busy yacht club, for example, because of the weather, year-round weather.
So is St. Francis?
Well, St. Francis is too, but not as much probably as the RORC.
No.
The Royal Ocean Racing Club is quite rightly snatching all the sail cognoscentize headlines after a terrific transatlantic race, followed now by the Nelson's Cup, which looked utterly spectacular. 100% Magnus.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's all about eyeing the Caribbean 600 that is about as glamorous as it gets on the world scene for the professionals. And it's very interesting optics in light of what we saw at the supposed pinnacle in Auckland last weekend. So he takes a dig at Sail GP. But, I think there's a lot to be said here.
Mm-hmm.
I could easily make an argument that we've all been hoodwinked and that really the pinnacle of sailing has been staring us in the face, yet we've chosen to ignore it, meaning these kinds of events. Blame the media. Blame the chief hype officer for Sail GP. That guy, what was his name? Khalid? He seems to have gone away. I saw him on an ad here on television in the U.S. Over the past week. I don't know what he was
I wouldn't recognize
promoting it, but blame Russell. It was we who are at fault all along. Fool's gold, meaning, but if you're saying that, Magnus, about Sail GP, he must be saying that about the America's Cup.
Yeah.
And maybe
the way it's
because we say it on here all the time. Our beloved sport and all the aspects of it, whether it's Opti sailing or it's Maxis and everything in between, where you've got families, where you've got friends, where you've got people going out, pulling sails up, pulling sails down, pulling sails in, steering with their own human power.
Yeah.
And okay, we've gone to powered winches in some classes. We've gone to some canting keels in some classes. But most of what we do is still what has been done for centuries.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's our last leg. Bravo Zulu Magnus. I thought it was a great blog post today. And when he writes something that I don't think is so good, we usually, at least privately, say something critical about it. Maybe not. Or I'll call him up and say, Magnus, that was crazy. Why'd you write that? Speaking of crazy, Julia, we got some today. You're going to like these.
Okay.
You don't seem enthused.
I'm ready.
This is we showed this on Tuesday. I can't get to the.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry. I can't. I didn't even think of this till right now. I did not plan. I can't get to the bottom of this. Jody, and I think he's pulling my leg, insists that's him sailing a Hobie, 14? 16, 14, I guess. And we ran this when we were doing that as a fake cover slide, our cover slide and the segment slides that we use in the show that we keep repeating over and over when that's become the cover slide for a given show. But I don't know if this is Jody. If it is, bravo Zulu. If it's not, it was still fun. But Pindar, and this is the reason for running this is not if that is Jody, not to show his crack, but I have an idea, Julia.
Yes.
I've run this past you. But after Pindar wrote this, he said, no idea if that's really Jody or not. But on the bright side, I found somewhere to park my bike. And the comment Clark made on the show the other day when I was talking about those granite, the rocks that they throw in curling.
Yes.
And I said, yeah, they're calling it with that extra finger touch. You can't touch the granite, and they're calling that booping. not pooping, booping.
Mm-hmm.
And Clark made the comment, that should be called Canadian goosing, because that was clever.
Yes.
Julia, I think we need to have not only our person of the year, we need to have a contest called Comment of the Year. And when something comes along like that one from Pindar just on Tuesday's show, or Clark when he says, call it goosing, not booping, we need to record these. We need somebody to help keep track of it, because I can't. Help keep track of these. And at the end of the year, we put them all up and we have a vote among everybody watching the damn show and say, what do you think is the comment of the year? Because we say over and over again, the comments and the FOSI make this show. I mean, they help produce the show. They send in so much stuff to me. I appreciate it every time. I think the comments are why a lot of people get on here, so they can comment, because they're so responsible. There's no name calling. It's not like the Sailing Anarchy forums. They make 3 comments and then it devolves into coarse language and name calling and more. So I think we should have a comment of the year.
I don't know. I'd hate to have to decide which one that would be.
I think it'd be fun. Okay, when you hear they've arrested Prince Andrew, that came from a super FOSI in the US of A. This came from our past Commodore St. Francis. He said, my medical bracelet finally arrived, and it doesn't tell what drugs you're on or what. It says, delete my browser and history, and my browser history, and destroy my phone. Jody says, it's definitely me, but the camera angle is a huge stitch up. It's not AI. Jody insists that's him. I don't know. I think I need one of these bracelets, Julie. That came from Commodore Peter Gilmore here at St. Francis. My doctor, this is a variation on an old one, but I like it. My doctor said now that I'm older, I need to install a bar in my bathroom. You got a bar in your bathroom, Julia.
Sure.
A couple of them.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like this.
No.
Huh?
No. Yeah, that's an old joke, but it's a good one.
It's a good one. And finally, apropos the curling in the stone, where did the Canadian touch you?
As an eyewitness.
Oh, my goodness. That came from F. Leward Baylor, who is one of our contributors. And that is from Blake Middleton, who likes to say all the smartest people sail. Blake, thank you again for that. My dad, who likes to say, as our last comment, sailing isn't for everybody, but it is for anybody, which gets us, Julia, to the finish line, where you like to say,
yes, what a nice day to like, follow, and share, and give others a treat.
Indeed. Well, and help us with the algorithms on both Facebook and YouTube. Comments are welcome, even in replay. We do go back and read them, by the way. And thank you to all of you who contribute via Patreon, patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated, which helps keep us on the air with camera. This camera 4-shot, I only use it once a show. Claire likes this. You like this angle too, don't you? The camera 4. Well, it's better than doing the cleavage cam on you.
Much more interesting.
I can push a button here and put that camera on you, but you got a sweater on today. Thank you very much for your support. We're deeply appreciative. A few bucks a month really helps keep our streaming fees and our equipment up to date. And Julia, also to those who give us some audio or images or video, courtesy of all these people today. Final thoughts?
No, I just keep on giving.
Keep on keeping on. Great show, Fritz Mueller says, and thanks to all. Have a great weekend. Yeah, we hope you all do. I'll look forward to that more flattering photo of Jody's butt. Thierry de Jong, thank you. He always puts in a comment at the end. We really do appreciate it. Rick Bannerl, likewise. Joe Holtzman, and on and on. Safety bars, Blake Middleton says, safety bars are all over my place. Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Well, he's struggling through his MS, and he's still with us and doing it. So, Ted Ryman, thank you. We appreciate it very much. We hope everybody has a great weekend. And we hope you start thinking about this topic, because I'm going to give you a proposal to protect and revitalize Olympic sailing on Tuesday. And we'll look forward to your comments, and maybe we'll put a little panel discussion, maybe not on Tuesday, but down the road to see what you think of this proposal. We got to do something.
Yeah.
And I think watching the Winter Olympics, as several of you said, Jody perhaps most prophetically, it's easy. Yeah, well, I don't repeat what he said, but it's true. And we got to figure that out. I know World Sailing's been trying to figure out. The coaches like John Emmett have been trying to figure out. Some of the classes have been trying to figure it out, but we're off the mark. If we think that having short races in boats that nobody can really understand who's in the lead and who's not, I mean, excuse me. We'll talk about it more on Tuesday. In the meantime, have a great weekend. Hope to see you on Tuesday. Thanks for joining us today. And go sailing. Sail fast, sail safe, and have fun.
Absolutely.
Ciao for now.